A Britain so encrusted with sandbags that there had been complaints from the military that there were few left to protect the fighting soldier. A Britain intensely conscious of her duty, but as yet neither geared to it nor fully aware of its full implications. Air raid precautions, yet no air raids. Set pieces, realistic with shot-down bombers and black-coated Nazi crews. Yet out of these crude beginnings was forged a civil defense organization second to none, once it had been tempered in battle. Sewing bees at Buckingham Palace, well meant, yet so reminiscent of another war, so long ago fought with blood instead of brains. At war, but not yet in battle, waiting to fight, and while waiting, clinging to peace and all its pleasures. A Britain conscious of her duty, yet, because of the waiting, as bored and drowsy as the panda at the zoo. But not quite so asleep. You have sat here too long for all the good you have been doing. Begone, I say, and let us have done with you. In God's name, go. And so he went. A man whose umbrella had become the damp symbol of an outdated way of thinking. In came another, and on his first day reaped a whirlwind. Dawn on the 10th of May, 1940. Across the frontiers of the Reich into Holland, 28 divisions. Into France, 17 divisions. Into the Ardennes, the greatest thrust of all, Army Group A, 44 divisions. The Panzers, the iron fists that were to hand out to the old order what was coming to it. Then the Dutch and the Belgians, who had so long clung to strict neutrality as the best form of defense, unmasked their guns and put their faith in the rightness of their cause, for they had little else to fight with. Meanwhile, in the south, they lifted their barriers to let in the British and the French, allowing them to dart forward to take up a line along the Dyle and the Meuse. General Gamelin's long envisaged Plan D, to dash to save the neutrals once they were neutrals no longer. And so they leapt forward, and in so doing, exposed their flank to Army Group A. Army Group A, moving through the Ardennes with all the skill, precision, and system invested in it by its skilled instructors. Instructors who had learned all there was to learn from World War I, and then had forgotten it to apply the new rules of World War II. An army instilled with new concepts, speed, efficiency, and boldness. Before them, the new form of artillery, the Stukas, on call to the field commanders like hawks to the hunter. And so they came to the winding Meuse and the forts on its far side. And there they whistled up their hawks of war to put those forts out of action. Then the storm troops, crossing the stream in rubber boats and launches, just as they had done across the Vistula in Poland, though no one had read the lesson. Once across, bombs through the ports or liquid fire through the slits, so that those inside discovered that the deeper you dig down, the worse off you prove to be. Then, spurred on by dive bombers, cold-bloodedly but effectively, whole populations set in motion. The citizen who clings to his house, the farmer to his farm. Blast their roots and they'll take to the road. Run, rabbit, run. So that, as the British moved forward on their mission of rescue, they were met with streams of refugees clogging the all-important roads. Men, women and children, in need of all the rations a soft-hearted Tommy might be tempted to give, although duty demanded those rations to sustain his own vital fighting power. Outnumbered, the RAF did its best, but it could not be everywhere. And to be everywhere was total war. War on soldier and civilian alike. War on life itself. Run, rabbit, run. Already out of the ports of Holland and northern Belgium, there were embarking the French troops who had but a day or so before rushed forward to help. All that brave men could do, they had done. And with them, as Holland bowed her head to the invader, went the refugees. Those who might have stayed, yet who chose to go, for reasons of race, religion, plain pride, or a fundamental belief in the dignity and necessity of personal freedom. And even as they went, those same hawks of war dived at their heads. Yet, somehow or other, they made it. Made it so that a British officer could point out to a small Dutch princess the white cliffs of Dover, cliffs of a land now the only hope for the defeated. Thus was the House of Orange transferred from the Netherlands to the country which the old Dutch Admiral Van Tromp once hoped to conquer. And with its official papers went its flesh and blood, Queen Wilhelmina, Princess Juliana, and Prince Bernhard. And so, important and unimportant, they came to Britain. The persecuted, the innocent, the Jews, the Catholics, the Protestants, the unwanted, the unbelievers in the evil powers that be. But for those still free, there are no greater allies than those who have known bondage and have forsaken its chains.